But I also think that in a world where everybody's doing the same thing, the only thing that differentiates you is how you uniquely see the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've always taken the path of like, can I bring some kind of artistry to this so that the message that I craft while still delivering value is showing the magnificence of whoever it is that I'm making videos for, right? I think I'm a bit of an artist deep down. And so even now when I'm working with editors and stuff, I'm kind of like picky. You can't say you make ungeneric videos and then go make a generic video, right?
Course,
That's
yeah.
totally against the rules. And so that's just my personal view on it. I think even if it's not right now, if you keep making something that is uniquely you and you get better and better and better at it, eventually people will take notice. That was
Mm-hmm.
what I believed, even when I was broke. So like, people will notice this if I keep doing this. And it worked.
Yeah.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you.
Hello, Luis. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Hello, Thomas. Thank you for having me on the show.
Luis, probably unexpected question to start with, but have you got any jokes for us to start with?
Oh, man. You did. I literally... You did it. You freaking did it. Honestly, man, all the jokes I've been hearing in the last little while have been like way too offensive to say on here, so I'm gonna say no. I literally asked this on a post, and the only response I got back was meta, like just somebody making fun of Facebook, and that was it. So that's all I got.
No worries, maybe for the next time. But
Yeah.
I wanted to start with, if you can tell us more about your childhood. What was young Luis like? You know, what were your interests, your aspirations, and a bit more about yourself?
Aw, that's a really sweet question to start off with. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I'm a younger brother. I have one older brother, and I grew up in a really musical family. So my dad was a band teacher, my mom's a singer, and I grew up going to their shows. My dad is a conductor of the community band, and spent a lot of time listening to jazz music, like a lot of jazz music, and basically like soaking that in. So I wanted to be a musician pretty early on. Like I learned how to play saxophone when I was like 8 years old. And then I learned how to play trumpet when I was like 10. And then guitar when I was 13. And then I became a singer, and that's what I went to college for. And
Oh,
so music has always been like a huge part of my life. And I was in a band. That's how I met Jenna, my wife. Yeah.
you've been
And so
always creative person.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, it's just been part of my upbringing was just like, you know, don't be afraid to express yourself, like cry if you want to cry, like make something based on how you feel. Like even when I was playing music, I never wanted to do covers ever. I was always writing my own songs and stuff, and that's just how I've been for a long time. And I was into other shit. Kids are into all kinds of stuff, right? Like I was into sports and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff too, but music was like really my mainstay, my main
Mhm.
focus. Yeah.
But I guess then obvious question, but why haven't you continued in this career?
Yeah, totally. So I'll just spill the beans. Like, so I was in a band and we were touring. We lived in Montreal in Canada. It's in Quebec. Great city. And basically, it
Shout
was
out
pretty.
to Jeff. Jeff is another podcaster. I did episode with him. I hope he's listening.
What up, Jeff? Yo, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I was living in Montreal with my bandmates, and they're all great guys, fantastic musicians. But I was also living a pretty debaucherous lifestyle, so like sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of thing. And like one day, like I woke up and I was just like covered in my own vomit, and I
Oh.
realized that I had to like change my life, pretty much.
Mhm.
Like I had to do something, and this was a long time ago. This was like 10 years ago now. And so I just realized I had to change my life. I had to do something different. Like I realized I was unhappy essentially
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's like if you're doing this all the time, like something's wrong. So I got really into meditation and mindfulness, and I started just meditating all the time, and it kind of brought me to some realizations, and I had to kind of go inwards. So I left the music world because I realized I had to just like distance myself from it for a bit in order to find what was healthy for me. And I think now if I went back to it, I'd be a lot more healthy about it. And it's not just about the party lifestyle. But at the time, that was the reason why I left it. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I just haven't gone back to it because now my focus is on like, okay, well, I want to have a family and I want to be able to afford a home and stuff. And unfortunately, being a musician isn't exactly the best way to do that. So it's just not a main focus right now.
That's really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I'm glad I asked that question. And I assume that that might be a situation that maybe many people find themselves in. So have you got any advice like for someone to make such a big career change? Maybe what helped you, whether it's, I don't know, any resources that helped you or I don't know, something else?
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. So I've had so many career changes. So like, I was a musician, then I was like a farmer for a long, I was an organic farmer, then I was a voice actor for a little bit, and now I'm
Oh,
doing
yeah.
what I'm doing. Yeah, right. And there's some other things in there too. I was a salesperson, all this stuff. And I'd say the best piece of advice that I've ever got on this is from Jordan Peterson. He's controversial. Say what you like about him. Some people love him, some people hate him. But I love this piece of advice from him, which was like like movement is better than stagnation. Like if
Mhm.
you don't know what direction to go in, just pick any direction and go, and then you will be able to correct your course as you move. And that's better than just staying still and not doing anything, because then you're
Yeah.
not getting anywhere, right? And so I've really abided by that for the last 2, 3 years. This is just like I was a farmer. I didn't know what to do. I knew I would never be able to afford a home and family. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I said, screw it. I'll just pick a direction. And so I just was try voice acting. And turns out
Mhm.
that wasn't the thing, but every experience led to something better. Right. And
Yeah.
so, like, if you don't know the direction, if you don't know what you want to do, just pick any direction. Like, sitting on your ass, eating Fruit Loops and playing video games is literally the worst thing you can do. Like, anything is better than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just go do something.
I can completely agree because obviously if you don't do anything, nothing is going to change, right? And if you do at least something, you will find out, okay, this is not the correct way. I can try something else. At the same time,
Totally.
it may be the right one. So that was a great piece of advice.
That's exactly it, man. Like everything, it's not like a wrong decision. It's just like you learn something about yourself in doing
Hmm.
anything, right? And so it's great because it totally removes any kind of like victim mindset or like any kind of fear of like messing up can just be taken in this different perspective. It's all about how you see it, right?
Hmm.
So I really try to approach life like that.
And out of curiosity, just as you mentioned, Jordan, are you one of those people that love him or the other one that hate him or something in between?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know too much about Jordan Peterson, but from what I have heard, I really like. I think he's a really good marketer. Like, anybody who can drum up that much attention for themselves and
Oh,
get
yeah.
that much controversy going is a good marketer.
Hmm.
And I think he does what he does based on what he thinks is right. And he's really good at getting people to notice him.
Yeah.
So I can't knock him for that, you know? Do I agree with all his viewpoints? Not necessarily,
Hmm.
but I like his overall message, which is just like, you know, become a better version of yourself. And I think he's actually helped a ton of, especially like young men, like teenage boys, especially, to just like want to be better, Like, don't go out drinking with your friends. Like, try learning something instead. Like, if anybody who can inspire that in people, that's like a win in my books. So I like the
The,
guy personally.
yeah. I like the opinion you shared, and I agree because you often see like a motivational videos, whether it's on YouTube or somewhere else, and you can have some sport athletes and people like that, but then there is Jordan speaking about some life wisdom, and it hits hard. So
Yeah,
I
man.
believe that he influenced people.
Dude, the
to a
dude is
certain extent.
so smart, man. Like, he's so smart. And the crazy part is he grew up in a part of Canada. It's like northern Alberta, like super, super, super northern Alberta, close to where actually I spent some time growing up too. And I can tell you, up there, it's like farms and oil, and that's like all there is.
Oh,
It's like wheat farms and oil rigs. And like
okay.
somehow we got this like brilliant scholar dude from like the middle of nowhere, northern Alberta. It blows my mind.
Yeah. I because I remember, I think it was a clip on YouTube where he speaks with some students at university before he became viral. And I think that clip got so many views that since then he got so viral and he basically stopped teaching and became like author and speaker and stuff like that. So for many people who don't know him, I would recommend to check him out because his books might be quite impactful as well.
Yep, for the right person, for sure.
And before you mentioned that you were a voice actor, it's something that I noticed on your LinkedIn actually. And I was curious to ask you about it because I feel like it's quite unexpected. Can you tell us more about this one and what was it like?
Yeah, being a voice actor, I mean, I wasn't a pro voice actor by any means. Keep that in mind, right? I was still a very beginner. But yeah, I moved to the city, become a voice actor. And what was it like? A lot of time just honing my craft in front of a microphone in a closet.
Yeah.
Like, voice acting is the part they don't tell you about, especially when you're starting out. You're not going to have the fancy studio. You're not
Yeah.
going to have the jobs on, you're not going to be the voice of the Lion King. You're
Mhm.
going to be in your closet doing probably free work or very underpaid work for a while. And so my experience with it was like, yeah, you spend like 8 to 12 hours in your closet in a microphone just practicing how to sound authentic while
Yeah.
reading a script, basically. And
And
that's
what are some examples of work that you did? Was it like a movies or ads or something
no,
else?
it was some ads, just some ads, some little ads, some little YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. Nothing big at all.
Mm.
I did a lot of work with like there's this voice actor, shout out to Matt Calrick, who's watching this, but he kind of took me under his wing when I moved to Victoria as a city. And basically I became his like assistant, his executive assistant. So I was able to learn from him what he does. And this dude, he's the voice on trailers and stuff like that. Like he gets huge jobs, right? Like
Yeah,
massive,
yeah.
massive jobs. He was the voice for like TD Bank, which is a big bank here in Canada. So I got to learn a lot from him, but I never got to the level that he was at. I was always just like in my closet doing underpaid, crappy jobs that you're never going to hear about, essentially. And but I did learn a lot from the experience, and I think a lot of my ability to be comfortable on camera comes from that because voice acting is acting, and in fact, in some ways, it's even harder because you're by yourself. You don't have another person to like feed off
Mhm.
of. And
Yeah,
so you have to come up with all that energy yourself. And
yeah,
so to do that and sound natural, whatever natural sounds like for that script, is extremely challenging. And
mm.
so that experience being a voice actor is partially one of the things I think has really, really helped me to grow so fast on LinkedIn. It's just my ability to understand how to take a script and not sound like a robot while reading it,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's really smart because sometimes you never know when that experience that you learned before might be helpful in your future career.
That's it, man. Just move, pick a
Mm.
direction. It's
And
just
I'm
like,
pretty sure that I'm not the only one who can say that you on the camera, seem like perfect job, like someone who was born to speak on a camera, doing just amazing job.
thanks, dude. That's awesome. Thank you.
And why did you actually stop that career of voice acting? To me, it sounds quite cool, but why didn't you continue? I hope it's not because of
No,
getting
I woke.
underpaid and being lonely in the closet.
Well, part of it. I woke up in my own vomit. No. So. Uh. So let me think. Let me think back. Okay. So this was 2.5 years ago. Essentially, I was looking at what I was doing, which was spending a ton of time in a closet by myself, and I'm a natural extrovert. I like stuff like this where
If
we
it
get to
was out of
talk.
context, it would sound really funny. It'd be
Yeah,
like...
I know, right? I always tell people that, and they're like, "Screw you." So I basically just spent a lot of time speaking into a microphone in a closet, in a dark closet by myself. And I'm an extrovert. I like being around people.
Mhm.
I like interacting. I like getting out of the house. And I just found I was spending like all day in my house by myself in a closet. You know, Jenna would check in on me, but like that was pretty much it. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I
No,
was,
it makes sense, to be honest.
yeah, I was starting to resent it basically. And I just
Mhm.
realized like, this isn't for me, you know? Like, I'm not the kind of guy who can just like be alone for long periods of time. I like getting out. And so, to be honest, man, it was really, really disorienting. Like, being, I'm the kind of person I really like having a direction with my life. I like choosing direction and moving with it. I don't know if you can tell, but I've already said that like 5 times in this podcast already. And so when my voice acting, when I kind of realized I didn't like, when I realized I didn't like it, my whole world came crumbling down. I actually
Mm.
got really depressed there for a while, like really depressed, and had to like basically I had to move back in with my mother-in-law at that time because I was doing the voice acting, realized I didn't like it, realized I had no idea what I wanted to do, realized I was paying way too much in rent in the city.
Yeah.
The Victoria's a pretty expensive city. And I was like, I don't know what I want or who I am or what's going on with my life. I'm a failure, all this shit. So let's go back and move in with family to just like find out what we want to do.
What
When I say
direction
we, I
to
mean,
go to?
yeah, me and Jenna, we kind of work as a team. So when I say we, I mean me and Jenna.
Mhm, mhm.
And it was there yeah, basically there we started a social media management agency, which also crashed and failed and sucked
Oh.
because we didn't know what the hell we were doing and we basically just weren't good at it
Mhm.
essentially. But
And is that
yeah,
then how it kind of evolved into what you do now?
yeah, exactly. So what ended up happening was I needed to make some videos to promote my voiceover services, like
Mhm.
before I left voiceover. And I'd made the videos, and they're just simple little things, right? They weren't that good. In fact, they sucked a lot. And
I'm
um,
sure you're just underestimating yourself.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe to my eye they sucked, but whatever. But I realized I love making these things more than I love doing the voiceover itself. So that was kind of where the seed was planted. Was like, oh, I like getting out into the city and like bringing a camera and getting some cool shots and seeing what you can do with it. And like to me, it just really works. And
Mhm.
so when we started the social media management agency, part of that was a little bit of video. I'd made some skits for some friends, that kind of stuff. And then we just came to a point where we were like, we kind of suck at social media. And this was a couple of years ago. So, we genuinely did. Like, we kind of suck at doing social media. Why don't we just like
Focus on
try
what you do the
video?
best. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do video because I like it. Jenna likes it. Why don't we just do that? And so that's what we did. We just started
Mm.
filming businesses and making these sort of high end videos for them. And it was really fun. I really like it.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
seems like you're doing it really well.
Yeah, totally, man. Like, and it was a natural fit, I think you could
Mhm.
say. Like my musical background combined with my,
Voice
I
acting
don't know,
experience, for example.
yeah, ability to see stuff, creative sort of mind. It just worked really, really well for
Mhm.
who I am. And again, wouldn't have ever seen that had I not just like messed up a bunch of times and then eventually got to that place, right? So it was
Yeah.
a fluke. I did not expect to land in video at all.
But I think it's good what we just discussed and that we dived a bit deeper into it, because you tried some stuff, you found out that you don't enjoy it, it's not working, but you haven't given up, and now it seems like you found what you're good at, maybe best at, you enjoy it, and it's like a new direction. So it's like, I know it sounds cliche, but don't give up if you feel like that you don't enjoy what you do, because you can still keep searching and find it.
Totally, man. No, I think the thing that separates successful people from the rest of us schmucks is their ability to be persistent for a
Hmm.
long period of time. They
Yeah.
just, it's not about being the first there, it's about being the last standing.
Mm. Yeah.
So just like you got to eat shit sandwiches and just keep doing it for years, and then eventually you'll stop.
Yeah. And I can imagine that when you started, there must have been competition, like a lot of videographers already and companies and agencies. So back then, did you know what is it that makes you stand out, or like what made you
Yeah,
just different from others?
yeah. And in the beginning, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, because like I feel like there are always these type of services, so it might be challenging to find clients. So like, what was your edge?
Yeah, right. Good question. So, yes, there's a lot of competition, of course, for videographers, especially. So I'd taken some courses to help us understand more the business side on how to like create value with video and understand the value that video brings to the table. So I'd never started, a lot of videographers, when they start out, they start by selling like $500 wedding videos, and then they spend like,
That is
80
true.
hours making this video and get like $50. It's terrible. It's just terrible return on
I
investment.
heard it many times. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I never did that. I saw that trap from the beginning. I don't know, man. I'd say like the thing that was my edge was my ability to take information from one source, be that like Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is, and apply it to another realm. And
Yeah.
so even when I was making corporate videos, you can check them out at awesomebusinessvideos.ca. I was taking inspiration from Instagram Reels and
Hmm.
applying it to corporate videos.
Yeah.
And so that just naturally came off different because a lot of videographers, when they make corporate video, the way they get inspired is they watch other corporate videographers, which is
Yeah.
like, in my mind, the last thing you want to do because you just look like everybody else. And
That is
so
true.
this is my whole thing with LinkedIn too, is like, to make better LinkedIn content, you don't peruse LinkedIn all the time. Go watch
Hmm.
some other stuff and try to like bring that into LinkedIn, and that's going to be what makes it different, right? So at the beginning, yeah, like taking sources from other places, putting them into a new realm, and then um I mean, I'll tell you the story. The first video we sold was this like spotlight video we made, and this was about a year ago. And with this spotlight video, essentially what we did is we made like a compilation video of, I think it was like 6 businesses in our area, and then made a little like spotlight on them, who they are and what they do, that kind of stuff, and then put them all together into one long video to basically advertise all these businesses to get
Yeah.
people to shop at their place in the winter. And it did great, and we sold that for, I think overall it was just over $4,000 for our first video, which is really,
Hmm.
really good for a first video for a
Yeah.
videographer,
Yeah.
right? And it's what made me realize, like, oh, there's actually money in this. Like, we can actually, for the first time in my creative life, I can
Yeah.
actually get paid to be creative. So that's kind of what kept us going.
Yeah. And I've seen, of course, I did some research. I checked your website or some of your videos and work, and I really like the creativity. I don't know. For example, you've got these beautiful moving elements on your website, pretty cool edits on your like introduction video of your website. So I like just when it stands out, when it's different, and when if I put myself into the shoes of customer or client, that I'm like, okay, these are the guys I want to work with.
Dude, Thomas, that's totally it, man. Like, and it's funny because there's a big school there's different schools of thought when it comes to videography and video production in general. And some people believe that like, and power to them, a lot of these guys are my teachers. They believe like it's not about creating something unique or that looks good necessarily. It's more about just like delivering a message, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to like deliver that message and show the value. And I think there's a time and a place for that for sure. But I also think that in a world where everybody's doing the same thing, the only thing that differentiates you is how you uniquely see the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I've always taken the path of like, can I bring some kind of artistry to this so that the message that I craft while still delivering value is showing the magnificence of whoever it is that I'm making videos for, right? For me, I think I'm a bit of an artist deep down, and so even now when I'm working with editors and stuff, I'm kind of like picky. You can't say you make ungeneric videos and then go make a generic video, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, of course.
that's
Yeah.
totally against the rules. And so that's just my personal view on it. Like I think like people, even if it's not right now, if you keep making something that is uniquely you and you get better and better and better at it, eventually people will take notice. That was what I believed, even when I was broke. So like, this is, people will notice this if I keep doing this. And it worked.
Yeah. And I think we can, of course, all see example that it works in action from your presence on LinkedIn, because obviously that's something that we have to discuss. I don't know, I might have missed you before, but I feel like that you suddenly appeared on LinkedIn. I've never seen you before, and suddenly there is this guy and he goes viral like nothing.
With this big beard, just like,
yeah. Where he's hiding his pen. But, you know, when it comes to LinkedIn, I've been wondering if you showed up and applied what you just said, or if you've been like preparing in the background, like, oh, this is going to be my launch on LinkedIn and I'm going to get viral soon, or what was it like when you started?
Yeah, no, there was no plan, to be totally honest with you. I got really lucky. So basically, if you look at, you've probably, I don't know, you might have looked at our old videos where I'm wearing like a wig and I'm like doing these skits, and they didn't do that well, right? I think I got like 20 likes, a few comments, one of them's my mom, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with a friend, Zach Louis Says, shout out to Zach. And we were talking and I was like, yo man, like I'm wondering like if I should I need to get clients. I need to get more clients. I'm thinking of making something on LinkedIn. I don't really know what I want to do. I don't really have an offer, but like, what do you think? And he's like, oh man, you should make a building in public video. I'm like, really? You think people would want that? Like, I'm kind of nervous that I'd make people feel weird by showing numbers and that kind of stuff. And he's like, no man, just do it. Like, people love that stuff. I was like, okay, sure. And so 2 days later, I made the first building in public video and it got like 70 likes. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. People really enjoy it when I just, even if I'm not a pro, because that was always the fear, is that on LinkedIn, you have to be a pro at something in order to show your professional expertise in order for people to buy from you. So that was always the fear at the beginning. It was like, I have no authority. I have no social proof. I have no way of demonstrating that people should buy from me. And I think that's the fear that all newbies go through. And my way around that was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to show what I am doing then, and just be honest about where I am in that process. And so if you watch that first week, like I'm talking about shit like, I got 5 new followers from commenting on Daniel Kornblum's post. And it's like, who gives a shit? But people did give a shit because it did like 4 times better than any video I'd posted, you know, or whatever. I mean, on average, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a light bulb moment for me. Like, oh, okay, we're onto something here. Let's do more building in public videos. And then I was a huge fan of Matt Lakeyev. I still am. That guy is just so good. And he makes lead magnets like there's no tomorrow. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. Maybe I should make a lead magnet to try to attract more leads to what we do, right? So I made this lead magnet for Lara Acosta, just breaking down
The,
all her videos. I think this was in week 3 or even week 2. And I showed it to her, like I sent her an email and I was like, hey, Lara, I made this thing for you. Thank you so much for being an inspiration. And she saw it and she just loved it. And she offered to have a call, which was something I did not expect, right?
oh, I was gonna say it's really nice that she replied because I can't imagine how many messages she must receive.
Dude, that's exactly it. Like she gets like probably hundreds of messages a day, like
Yeah.
legitimately.
Yeah.
And so no, it's very flattering and like she's awesome. I love Laura. She's so sweet. But without her saying yes and offering to help, I would still be nobody, right? And so there's an element there of like I was just really lucky that Laura liked what I made.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Laura, like once I posted those videos with Laura, I think it was Niall Ratcliffe that saw it and he was like, man, this is hilarious. I'm like, oh, dude, do you want to talk? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then Yasmin Alish saw it and he was like, I like this. I'm like, oh, do you want to talk? Yeah, sure. And so
Oh,
I've
yeah.
just done that over and over now with like
Mm-hmm.
18 different amazing, smart, creative, big follower count
Yeah.
people. And that just has built such a superb network that
Mm-hmm.
like yes, the content is important and the creativity and the originality is super important, but like without the network to see it, there like it's useless, right?
Yeah.
And so there was never any like master plan for how we were going to do it. I just looked at what was like the highest leverage thing you can do, and on LinkedIn, that's targeted networking. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually got that from Lara herself. Like I literally after watching all her videos, she had a video on targeted networking where
Mm-hmm.
she's talking about her editor DWAS, and she was like, DWAS reached out to me with this kind of video, and I was so impressed that I like hired him as an editor. And I was like, I'm gonna do exactly what DWAS did. And so I did exactly what DWAS did, and it worked. And I'm like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
stuff works. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're at the beginning of your journey and you don't know how to do it and you don't know like your plan for starting on LinkedIn, just be honest. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally just show what you're doing. Be honest
Yeah.
about that experience and keep in mind how it relates to the people that are watching the video, right? Like they want, you want them to feel something, pull their heartstrings, make them laugh, give them FOMO, right? Show the numbers, be
Yeah. Yeah.
honest. And that attracts people to your cause. And you don't have to be an expert necessarily, but you do have to be honest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
be honest. Show, like, don't lie. Just be
Yeah.
honest.
And don't. I mean, this is going to sound. I talked about it in the previous episodes with someone else as well, but be authentic. I feel like that's something that everyone talks about, but then still you see loads of, I don't know, AI comments and this stuff, and it just makes me sick seeing that, regularly.
Yeah.
And as you said, just I would say find your unique edge, be authentic, and have fun. Because like if you obviously you keep showing up regularly, like every day, it may feel like a chore or like work, but if there is something that you look forward to, like I don't know, leave a silly comment or have fun with someone, it makes it different.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Like, odds are your first videos or first posts or whatever they are, they're not gonna be that good,
Mm.
And that's okay, right? Like it doesn't have to be about what other people think at the beginning. It can just be about you getting your reps in and practicing.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep it in that way of like, I'm just having fun, I'm doing this because I enjoy doing this, I'm doing this because I know content is a really valuable thing, because it's going to help my business, so I'm willing to suck, then that's okay, right? And then you'll just get better and better and better and find your voice more and more and more the more you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it'll take time.
Are you looking to elevate your online presence? Check out Trailblazed, our digital marketing agency. Whether it's standing out on social media, crafting a stunning new website, or developing impactful visuals, Trailblazed has got your back. Visit trailblazed.digital and reach your online potential today.
And I like what you mentioned before about Lara, which is something I didn't know, but it's really nice when like bigger creators are supportive or even reply or something like that, because sometimes you don't know how much it can influence someone or how impactful it can be, just like, let's say, silly reply or a bit of help to someone, and it can make such a big difference. So I would encourage others to do the same, because you never know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's something I learned again from her, like after like we're still in contact, and like when I was going through a rough time, just sort of like dealing with all the growth and like how do I, all of a sudden I'm getting all these messages and stuff, and like
Yeah.
kind of getting overwhelmed with it, to be honest with you.
I
And
have to say that I don't want to sound like someone viral or something, but I feel like
yeah,
I can relate to it lately.
yeah, totally, right? It's like, whoa, I get all these, it's like all of a sudden people care, and then people are like tagging you in posts and stuff to like, and it's
Hmm.
like it's kind of overwhelming, like tons of notifications. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, like, how do you deal with this? Like, how do you, somebody with 200 plus thousand followers, deal with this? And she's like, I just come back to gratitude. Like, it's not noise. None of this, because I was calling it noise. It's like, how do you deal with all the noise? And she's like, it's not noise. That's disrespectful. Like,
Hmm.
it's about being grateful for that these people are taking their precious, valuable life and time and being willing to focus it on you and what you're
Yeah.
doing. That's something to be grateful for. And so always just ground and like it's energy coming towards you. And you can be
Hmm.
grateful for that energy coming towards you. And that was a huge eye-opening moment for me when she said that. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to apply this from now on. And it's done wonders. And I think with big creators, dude, like the thing that I've noticed after talking with a bunch of them is that they're A, really chill people, and B, um, they have a really, really, really good attitude. Otherwise, they wouldn't be where they are,
Yeah.
right? Either they're super persistent or they're really grateful. Often they're super humble, and they're just really, they really care about the people that they interact with.
Hmm.
This is my experience, anyways. And I think that caring is a part of the thing that got them to where they are, because they were able
Hmm.
to demonstrate that they care, which made people care about them. And
Yeah.
so which made them grow faster. So it's not about like being the biggest followers or whatever, but it is about caring a lot about the people who talk to you and showing that care by DMing
Hmm.
them, engaging with their comments, engaging with their posts. Like that is the thing that made
Yeah.
that community that built their huge audiences.
I'm really glad that I asked you this question and we discussed it, because that's something that I've been thinking a lot lately as well. Sometimes it feels a bit overwhelming, but I don't want to come across as someone who doesn't care or who's, I don't know, like egoistic, so I don't reply. But then if you
Mm.
if you reply to everything, you don't have time for anything else. So I'm glad
Dude,
to hear that from someone else, because that's been on my mind too.
it's a real thing, man. Yeah, like I don't have a huge account by any means, but it's, you know, just dealing with learning how to show people that you care while still valuing your time and actually doing the thing that's going to help the world the most, right? Which is like getting your offer out there, doing what you do for a living. Like you run a podcast company, like, you got to spend time with that, right? Like you actually have to, you have to do that. Otherwise you'll be broke and then you won't be able to talk to anybody on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's about like you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe people a response necessarily. So sometimes you
Hmm.
just can't respond. Like even when you invited me to this podcast, I don't think I responded for like I don't even know what it was, like 7 days or something like that. And then I look, oh shit, Thomas messaged. Okay, great, I'll like message him back. Like you don't owe anybody anything,
Yeah.
and at the same time, like especially when you're first starting out, at least this was Lara's advice, was like it's good. It's good to try to make an effort because you're still building your community at
Hmm.
this point, right? Where when you're at the size that like we're at right now.
Yeah. And I would say also you never know, because for example, like when I texted you, you never know if if you are busy, if you're not interested, or if you forgot or something then like that. So it's like, don't judge, because you never know the whole story. I think that's also something important to keep in mind.
Totally, man. Yeah, like follow up, or if they didn't give a response, it doesn't mean they don't like you. It's just,
Yeah, exactly. Don't take, I would say, not take it personally.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I would be curious, when you started on LinkedIn, why haven't you started on other platform? Or maybe you did, but why are you focusing
No.
on primary on LinkedIn?
Yeah, a couple reasons. One, that's what the biggest creators do often. So they'll start deep on one and then branch out to many.
Mhm.
And it's because I only have so much time in the day, right? I think for me, my whole goal wasn't just to build follower count; it's to build community. Because if I have 100 engaged members, that's better than having 100,000 meh people, right? And
Bots,
so
spammer.
exactly, bots. And so I realized that in order to build community, it takes more time than just posting. There's a lot of engaging, there's a lot of commenting, there's a lot of DMing, a lot of podcasting, all this stuff. And so that's one reason. It just takes a lot of time to do what I want to do, which is build community. The second reason is that LinkedIn is where my ideal client hangs out, right? Like social media is a marketing channel. And so, that's rule number one, is like find which channels your audience is hanging out. If you're like direct to consumer, maybe you want to be on TikTok, right? If you're like beauty brand, maybe you want to be on Instagram. But if you are a B2B video company, odds are you want to be on LinkedIn, right? And so I just picked LinkedIn. And it just happened to be that LinkedIn was launching its video feature. So I fluked out with that.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. But also I saw, like, with any kind of social media, like, it's good to pay attention to arbitrage when it comes to social media. So what platforms aren't getting the love right now, but will be getting the love soon.
Yep.
And that's like that with anything. It's like that with crypto. With crypto right now, it's blowing up. Don't buy crypto right now. Time to buy crypto was 2 years ago. You don't buy right now. If you buy right now, you're fueling the whale's pockets. Like, you were just whale meat at this point if you buy right now. And it's the same thing with social media. Like, yeah, I could hop on the TikTok train. Yeah, I could hop on the Instagram Reels train. I could hop on the YouTube game. But the fact is, there's like millions, if not billions, of users on these platforms that are all heavily competing for the same eyeballs. And on LinkedIn, there's like nobody doing video. Like, nobody right now. We're going to look back on this conversation in like 3 years and laugh. But like right now, there's hardly anybody doing it. And so
But
that
it's
is an
crazy if you
incredible
think.
arbitrage. Sorry,
Yeah,
go for
if
it.
you think about it, it's crazy. Actually, the fact that there aren't that many people.
I know, it's wild. Like, I think there's like 1 billion users, only 340 million of them actively post, and then there's like even less of them post monthly. Like, it's like such a tiny amount of people on LinkedIn. And then even less of those people use video, and even less of those people who use video actually know how to make video interesting and fun and valuable and edutainment, right? So it's like a very, very, very small pool, which meant there's an incredible opportunity to do what I do. Like, if I was to pick any other channel to go on, I would pick Twitter right now. I'd pick X, because everyone's like, bah humbugging X right now because Elon Musk and this and that. But like, dude, that's the time to get in, right? That's the time to get in and establish your authority, because it's not going to be like that forever. Like, they're going to find a way to make it blow up. And then when it does, video is going to be a thing there, right? So if I wasn't on LinkedIn, I would be on X, because that's just like where the opportunity is.
Yeah. And I like what you said before about LinkedIn, that although it's such a big established platform with so many users, it feels like there is like a smaller community of people that you almost know not everyone, but the majority of people who like post regularly because you engage, you see them in your feed. So although there are so many people, it feels like that there's like this smaller group of people and you kind of know each other.
Totally, man. Yeah, it's a small world on LinkedIn. Like, all the more reason to like be honest, and be a good person, because if you're not going to do that, then people will find out pretty quickly.
Because people speak, of course,
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
exactly. Like, it's a small world, man. It's a small world, and
Mhm.
LinkedIn's even a smaller world. So, yeah.
And when it comes to your content creation, specifically like the videos, have you got any inspirations, such as any creators,
Yeah.
companies, or people that you follow and you like?
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube for my inspiration. So I really like Casey Neistat. I really like Ryan Trahan. Those two guys alone have inspired me so much. I love this guy named Carter Vale. He's like a musician, comedic musician. He's the guy. I don't know if you've heard that song "Dirt Man." Put a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man. In case no, okay. Anyways, so
Uh,
he's great, and he makes these kind of joke videos, being a cowboy, and they're kind of fucked up and stuff, but they're hilarious. And
I will
so
check him out after.
yeah, dude, he's awesome, Carter Vale. And so these three guys are pretty much, if I'm not working or whatever, I'm probably watching one of these three guys most of the time, because I just think they're funny or interesting or good storytellers, or they just know how to do it. I
Mhm.
also really like Kane Calloway. That's it, Kane Calloway. He's
Oh
he's
yeah, I
on
know
YouTube.
him. He sends the Blueprint newsletter, right?
Dude, that guy is like one of the best content creators in the world. Like,
Oh.
incredible storyteller. Fantastic YouTube channel, incredible LinkedIn. Just like, he's a huge inspiration too. So yeah,
Mhm.
Kane, Carter, Casey, and Ryan. Those four people I love, and then other people I like genuinely love their content. I'm a huge fan of Aiden Brannigan. Like, he's a friend now. I just made a video about him today. Like, we did a podcast together and stuff. But like, that dude is so funny, and he's so good at being original in his content that he really inspires me as well. And then if I'm not like doing that, usually I'm watching like skits, like random skits on Instagram Reels, or even Facebook. Facebook's got some good stuff sometimes. But oftentimes I'm watching like comedians. Who's that other guy too that did the "When Your Name Is Kyle"? Trevor Wallace. Trevor Wallace. He's
I need to
hilarious.
I need to do my homework. I have no idea.
Oh, dude, he's so funny.
Uh,
He's got this skit called "When Your Name Is Kyle," and
mhm.
it's it's just so funny. He's just like this angry, like, listening to new metal, like pounding monsters back and like smashing things. He's hilarious. So I'm
Well,
watching a ton of comedians most of the
mhm.
time,
Yeah.
and then just taking what they do and combining it with, like, I don't know. That's where I get my inspiration from. And then for me too, actually, man, one thing that a lot of people don't realize when making video is that the music is equally as important as the visuals. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of editors miss that too, where it's like, the music is the thing that's going to drive the feeling of whatever it is that you're watching. And
Mhm.
so I get a lot of inspiration from the music that I listen to. And I listen to a lot of like synthwave music. You can probably tell from all my 80s music that I put in my videos, but I listen to a ton of synthwave music right now. I've been listening to some Refused lately. I don't know if you listen to Refused, but they're awesome. Listening to a lot of classical music too. I really like Chopin. So I get a lot of inspiration from music as well,
Mhm.
and that really helps me to
Uh,
see things in a
I
way
think
that,
there is no
yeah,
surprise with your music background that you can appreciate how important aspect it is.
it's huge, man. It's huge.
Mhm.
Like, if you like, even if you watch the videos on my website there, like, I always do my best to add like music that has feeling and has rhythm and it keeps
Yeah.
motion in the video, even in a corporate video. Because most of the time, when people are making corporate video, it's got that music that goes, "Welcome to a new dawn, a new day. Welcome to your future." We here care about safety and our employees and all this shit. And it's like
Uh,
cheesy as shit. And in music is a huge part of that cheesiness. So just by switching up your music, you can switch up shit. You can create a whole brand around the music that you make. Like, listen
It's
to
like
my
another
videos.
level.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no music like that on LinkedIn. The music that I put in my videos, right? And there's a reason for that. It's because I like it. But it's a differentiating factor. So if you can go find music that you like and stick it in your video and make it make sense, that's already going to differentiate you from like 90% of other people. So do not sleep on music. It's a huge one.
Yeah, it's a great point, and something I think I underestimated as well. And with your work, with your videos, I'm curious, what are your plans like for the future? Do you think that you continue with videos, or would you have like any plans even to try maybe short films or something like that?
I like social media, to be honest with you. I think for me, I've always been interested in making art that has a usefulness to it. So if you look at like a woodworker, they can make a table, and the table can be beautiful, but you can also eat off the table, right? And so they're making useful art, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that's something I always struggled with voiceover or with music, is that as beautiful as it can be, it doesn't have like a pragmatic use all the time, but video does. And so, especially social media video. And so I love making videos for businesses for this exact reason, which is it helps them to make money. It helps them, it puts bread on the table, right? And for me, that is super, super, super rewarding. Like that's always been something that I really want to do. And so for the future, basically what we're doing is we're taking what we know about video and what we know about LinkedIn and packaging it up into this cohort that we're going to be launching in January, and basically, bringing people through so that they can learn the skills to make these awesome videos on their own too, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And then, for folks who actually need like more help one-on-one, I'm just going to be, again, doing what I do. I'm working with a couple people like this right now already, but like, being able to do the scripting for the social media video, the editing, the content strategy for it, to be able to like essentially craft LinkedIn video content strategy. For me, that's super rewarding because like, even if your first video sucks, even if your second, your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th video suck, you can still nail it on the 11th video because social media video is iterative, right?
Yeah.
It can get better and better and better each time. And I love that process. To me, that's super rewarding. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to like, you don't have to like do fancy color grading. You don't have to like bring in fancy lights or anything like that. Like, it's about communicating a feeling. And with social media, that there's just so much opportunity to do that. And for me, it's like the most rewarding kind of video. And I just want to keep doing that.
Those are valid points, and I like it. I like the passion, the motivation behind it, and it's not just for the sake of money, but purpose. You enjoy it, and if you help the others, what else would you want?
Yeah, dude, that's exactly it. It's like art is fantastic, but art that can like feed people, or art that can like have a practical use case in real world, that's where my passion lies.
Yeah. And can you tell us from your experience, from your work experience, is there any project or any client that you worked with and for some reason it's worth mentioning, such as something that was funny or challenging or unexpected or just
like
worth
clients
sharing?
that I've worked with?
Yeah, or some cool project that you can tell us about.
Oh man, well, most of the things I would talk about, people just wouldn't. They're just like small businesses around here. I mean, two things. Not that it's like super relevant to listeners or anything like that, but one video I got to make like a video for like a go-kart facility, so they're training like F1 drivers, and so I got to like ride around in carts and like with a camera and like on a racetrack racing people going by me and stuff like that. That was awesome. Totally not useful to the listeners, but that was very cool. I'd say the second thing, like I'm working with Aiden right now, like Aiden Brannigan, like he is one of our clients. We are working with him right now. And the dude is fantastic. Like, I think being able to work with people who I perceive are like 10 steps ahead of me or even more, and being able to see how they see content, especially with him, that's the most inspiring to me, I would say. Like, just being able to work with clients who inspire you and change your way of creating content, to me, that's where the money's at. And I haven't had a whole lot of that, to be honest with you. I've worked with a lot of people, but I haven't had a lot of people that like know more about content than I do. And so when I work with Aiden, it's like, I don't know, it inspires me every day to get better and better.
I understand that. I think I wish there are more clients like that when it's not just about sake of money. Of course, we need to pay our bills, which is important. But if there is something more, like you just said, I think it's kind of a perfect client.
Yeah, man. And that's what I'm going for now, too, is like, you know, I'm trying to find more and more like like the personalities I want to work with, the people I want to work with who really gel with what we're doing. Because I realize what we're doing isn't for everybody. A lot of people need something a lot simpler, like what Danny Delvecchio is doing, for example. Like, he simplifies your video process. You sit down for half an hour, you film all these videos, you get videos for a month. And that's what he does. And it works. It works great, especially for folks who come from a more corporate background. They're super busy. They don't want to take time to make content. They just like want somebody to do it for them in as short amount of time as possible.
Yeah.
But I realized that's not me. And I actually like helping people who want to learn more about the content process, who already value making content and just want to make their content better so that they can attract more clients with it. That's my goal. And that's not for everybody. And so more and more I'm trying to like find out who that is, right? And I don't know. I think that should be the goal with every business, right? Like, only work with people who you want to work with. Don't work with people because they make you money. Like, otherwise you'll just be resentful.
I agree. Yeah, I understand that it's not always possible, but I wish that people tried, or to a certain extent, they managed. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
bro.
unfortunately, Luis, as we will be approaching the end soon.
Oh shit! Look at that. Okay.
Yeah, it flew like nothing. But do you want to promote your services, what you do? I think it's obvious from the conversation, but sum it up and where people can find you.
Yeah, so you can send me your social insurance number and your credit card information at Awesome Business Now. So we're launching a LinkedIn video cohort. We don't have an awesome name for it yet, but name coming. But basically,
shouldn't it be related to awesome, since your company is awesome.
Yeah,
the
I
course
know.
would be awesome as well.
Something awesome or ungeneric or something like that. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But it's a LinkedIn video cohort basically for founders who love making content or know the value of content, but just want to make their video content on LinkedIn actually work. So we've had tons of success over the last 3 months just doing this, and we realized that a lot of people can learn from what we're doing. So that's going to be our primary way of helping people. And of course, if people want to work one-on-one with us, we do have like a limited amount of one-on-one space available as well. You can just check out my LinkedIn profile and all the links will be available there.
Yeah. And then before we finish, Luis, have you got any final message or something that you would like to share and I haven't asked you and should have asked you?
Yeah, follow Thomas for all your podcasting needs. This man's the man.
Thank
honestly,
you.
man,
It's appreciated.
I'd say like, for anybody who's listening to this, like, don't be afraid to punch above your weight class. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna do anything incredible with your life, you have to punch above your weight class. You have to do something and silence that inner critic while doing it, because otherwise you won't get anywhere. So really just reach for it, go for it. Sounds cheesy, but like, feel the fear, do it anyways. that's what the greats do, and you can do it too.
It may sound cheesy, but it's true. So it's important to say it, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And Luis, then before I finish, I have one final question.
Okay.
What's your secret formula for your awesome beard? I'm slightly jealous. I think I'm not the only one, and it looks awesome. And and as we could see in some videos, it's also quite practical.
It's perfect branding tool. Step 1, drink too much milk as a child and get all the cow hormones inside of you. Step 2, eat nothing but steak and watch nothing but UFC. I don't know, man. Just be hairy as shit. Like, it doesn't stop at the face. It goes all the way down, brother. So, just get born with Neanderthal genes and you will have a wonderful, wonderful beard.
No, I mean, I think it looks really cool. It was enjoyed. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
But Luis, want to say a huge thank you. It went so fast, so we can definitely do a sequel in the future.
Sounds
I
good.
hope you keep rocking on LinkedIn, love your work. I'm so happy that we had a chat and I could meet you at least virtually. So keep doing great work, and thank you so much for joining.
Likewise, thank you so much, Thomas. It's awesome meeting you this way, dude. Really, really stoked.
Thank you. Appreciate it and wish you all the best.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Tommen. Check out show notes for all the links, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your feedback. Speak soon.